In today's video, we're going to talk about toddler tantrums and how to soothe a crying toddler while they're having this big massive meltdown. We're going to talk about common mistakes that people do and why you should avoid them. And we're going to talk about the best effective way to help a toddler calm down and to soothe them while they're having these intense emotions. So if that's something you're interested in, please keep watching. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Soraya, I'm a mother of two, and here on this channel I talk about everything related to motherhood, children empowerment, and social-emotional learning. So if these are topics you're interested in, I would love for you to subscribe. Please make sure you hit that notification bell so that you're made aware when I post new videos. Today's video is part of a series of 2 videos about toddler tantrums, and in the first video, which will be linked in the description box below, I talk about how to prevent toddler tantrums and what is causing toddler tantrums in the first place. So we talk about common triggers that we should try to look out for so that we can prevent these big emotional swings from happening in the first place, and we also talk about children's brain development. And we spoke about the prefrontal cortex and how it is underdeveloped and how it is affecting our children's behavior. For instance, when my toddler, who is 3 years old, hits her little brother, she doesn't do it because she doesn't care about how he feels. She does it because she's frustrated and she has no idea how he feels. She's incapable of putting herself in his shoes and imagining what it's like to be in his place, and that's because her little 3-year-old brain is underdeveloped. So she hasn't made all of the neurological connections yet to be able to make a connection between how she feels when she gets hit and how he feels when she's hitting him. So, of course, there are ways that we can help our children to learn and that we can support our toddler's brain development. And before we get into today's topic, which is how to soothe a toddler while they're having a tantrum, I just want to make a quick announcement, and I am so excited for this. I am so pumped. I have created a whole preschool curriculum for social-emotional learning. It's a curriculum that I have designed with preschoolers in mind. So in the UK, that's children who are aged 3 to 4 years old, right before they start school, right before they start reception year. The curriculum is fully aligned with the Development Matters statement. So it's fully aligned with the early years foundation stage learning objectives. And it covers 4 core areas of learning, which are self-regulation, empathy, relationships, like teamwork and sharing and stuff like that, and self-love and growth mindset. So I have designed loads of activities. All of them are, fully compatible with homeschooling. So you can do them at home. You don't need a classroom setting to do them. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to post a video next Wednesday. That's on the 23rd of September. Walking you through the entire curriculum, showing you all of the activities and telling you where you can get it. Now let's get into today's topic, which is how to soothe one of these massive meltdowns. Your toddler is on the floor, crying, screaming, kicking, and you don't know what to do. You're overwhelmed. Clearly they're overwhelmed as well. How do you soothe them? How do you bring them back to what we call baseline behavior? So, first, I want to say that I really know how you feel. I have a 3-year-old. I go through this all the time. Like I said in my previous video, toddler tantrums are completely developmentally normal. And so I don't know any toddler who doesn't go through this. So I'm going to start by saying things that you shouldn't do. And then I'm going to share with you some very effective tips and techniques to soothe a toddler. So things you shouldn't do. And these are common mistakes that people make and that really make their life more difficult. So the first one is that you shouldn't give in. Consistency is key. If you set a rule, you have to go by it every single time. Every time you give in, you give a toddler a reason to throw a tantrum the next time, okay? So it is very important that you are very consistent and that you don't give in. Number 2. If your toddler is having a massive meltdown and they're crying and they're, on the floor, kicking, whatever, don't ignore them. Don't ignore them because they are having really intense emotions right now, and throwing a tantrum is actually a way for them to cry for help. They are too young to be able to tell you, I'm overwhelmed, I need help, mommy, help me calm down. They're too young to do that. What do? They cry. A tantrum is a call for help, and you as a parent need to answer that call. You need to be there for your child. Same thing, do not shush your toddler. Do not tell them, stop it, stop whining, stop crying. Do not say any of these things. Imagine if you were really upset about something and you went to your best friend and were telling her about something really upsetting that happened to you. Maybe it's something that happened to you at work. And you're sharing that with her and she just says to you, oh, can you stop whining, please? How would you feel? So it's the same thing for your child. You know, the more you react by just shushing them or telling them to be quiet or to stop whining, the worse it is for them, because then they feel completely misunderstood and completely like their emotions has no value to you and they're not getting the help and support that they need. The fourth thing is, when your child is having one of these massive tantrums and crying, please do not give them any sweets or treats to distract them and to calm them down. Because when you're doing that, you're teaching your child that when they're having these big massive emotions, like when they're stressed, when they're angry, when they're frustrated, they need something in their mouth to calm down. And this is not a healthy habit at all. You need to teach them healthy ways of coping with their emotions. And not that, you know, dealing with massive emotions means that you have to eat. Because when they grow older, this is something that they will go back to. You know, you will create adults who, when they are having these intense emotions, will need to eat or drink or smoke, will need to have something in their mouth to deal with these massive emotions. It's much better to teach them positive coping mechanism. And the last thing is, don't try to reason with them. Don't try to reason with a toddler while they're having these massive tantrums. They are not in a place where they can hear anything that you're saying. They're not in a place where they can do any learning. They're not in a place where they can listen to logic. Okay, so when they're having this massive tantrum, your job is to calm them down, give them comfort, give them love and kindness and patience, but not to teach them. What you can do, something that I do with my child, is at a completely different time, we will often read books about good manners and about good and bad behavior. And I've made a whole video about my favorite books for bad behavior. And but when we do that, it's at a completely different time. We don't talk about her tantrums. We just go through the book. We talk about the characters. We talk about the behavior. But I don't use her tantrums as a learning opportunity because they are not in a place where they can actually learn anything that you're saying. Okay, so now we've spoken about all the things we shouldn't do, and you're probably over there wondering, okay, well then what should I do? Let me tell you. So when your toddler is crying and having these big intense emotions, the first thing that you need to do is to acknowledge their emotions, acknowledge how they feel. And you do that simply by describing what you see. I can see you're upset. I can see you're mad. I can see you're disappointed. And then you need to validate their feelings, make them feel heard, make them feel understood. It's so important for all of us human beings to feel heard, to feel understood, to feel like, you know, people get us, to feel like we have the right to feel the way we feel. And so it's the same for your toddler. You can say something like, I know you love that toy and you really wanted to play with it, and it's hard for you to see your brother playing with it right now, and it's okay, I understand. It's normal to be upset. It's completely okay, I understand. Once you have made them feel like you really are showing a lot of empathy towards what they are feeling, you understand what they are feeling, and you validate how they are feeling, already you will start to see them calm down. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but when we have intense emotions, just having somebody say, I understand how you feel, and yes, it sucks. Just having somebody say that usually makes us feel better. So your toddler already feels better just by hearing you say these things. And then you say what behavior is or isn't acceptable. I understand you're upset and that's okay, but it's not okay to hit your brother. And then you can either offer a cuddle or offer an alternative behavior. A lot of the time, my toddler will want a cuddle, so by the time I've acknowledged her emotions, validated her feelings, and told her what behavior isn't acceptable, she's ready for a cuddle because she has usually calmed down enough that she's not in this intense anger. If you offer a cuddle straight away, chances are your toddler, if they're like mine, will push you away because they're so mad. But if you have started by acknowledging how they feel and showing some empathy, then they have cooled down enough that they are ready for a cuddle at this point, because they are ready to receive your comfort and your reassurance at this point. Now, if they don't want a cuddle, you can offer an alternative behavior. You shouldn't be kicking your brother, but you can squeeze this stress ball instead. Hey, do you want to run around the garden 5 times to calm down? Do you want to jump to calm down? Offer them some alternative behavior, some way to let all of this frustration out. And I'm gonna make a whole video about our self-regulation corner, which is a little corner in our house where I have set up lots of tools for my toddler to calm down. And I'm slowly figuring out what works best for her, all the things that soothes her. And it's not always the same depending on what emotion she's going through. So I'm gonna make a video about this and walk you through all of the tools that we use. But yes, definitely think about what kind of alternative behavior can you suggest to your toddler when they're going through through difficult emotions. Is it like a deep breathing exercise? Is it squeezing a stress ball? Is it pushing against a wall? Is it reading a book or coloring? You need to think about what alternative behavior you can suggest to your toddler. And I can tell you that this method works every time. If you really follow all of the steps, this works all the time. You need to be patient. And I know it's hard. I've been there when your child is screaming and you are probably tired and you probably have 100 other things to do. It's hard for you to remain calm as well, but it's so important that you keep your cool and that you keep reminding yourself, my child isn't in control right now. This is something that is happening to my child. It's not something that my child is doing, it's something that is happening to them. Okay, so keep reminding yourself of that. Keep reminding yourself about this prefrontal cortex that we spoke about in my previous video and how it's underdeveloped and how they're not in control. And keep reminding yourself to have realistic expectations of your child. So stay calm. Keep offering kindness and love and support. Keep offering cuddles, acknowledging their emotions, and I promise you that your child will really quickly calm down. These techniques really, really work. I have been using it with my child and I can really see a difference between when I'm able to follow all the steps and implement this technique and when I don't. Now, the one situation where things can get a little tricky for me at least is when we are outside, when we are in the street, when we are in the supermarket, or when we are in the park. And I think part of that also comes from the fact that when we are outside, I get more stressed. First of all, because sometimes there's like a security issue. So if my toddler is throwing a tantrum in the middle of the street, I become stressed about safety, and that's because I am afraid that she's gonna start running around, and there's cars and stuff, so it might be dangerous. My toddler also has a tendency of stopping in the middle of crossing a road. Like, this is where she's gonna start a tantrum, is when we are crossing a street. In the middle of the street, she will stop walking and throw a tantrum right there and then. So this can be really stressful. And also, in the supermarket, at the park, there's people looking. It can become really stressful and overwhelming for you as a mom. But really, you need to try and not give in to all of these emotions that are coming in. You need to stay calm. And at this point, you need to drop everything and take care of your child. You need to drop everything. If you're at the supermarket, drop your groceries, take your child, take them back to the car, take the time to soothe them, following all the steps I spoke about before. Okay, if you're at the park, take them back home, take the time to soothe them, okay? Sit on the floor, sit wherever you like, find a corner where you can sit and calm your child down. Your child is crying for help, you need to give them that help now, okay? The other thing is, if your child sees that you have to leave because of the tantrum, then it's going to be one more motivation for your child to avoid throwing tantrums in those public places. But again, remember the key: don't give in. You need to be consistent, even in the supermarket. That's it for today's video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a beautiful day.